Hello? Hello? Hello, hello. It's been a while since we had just a chatting stream. Usually there's a whole screen next to me of some YouTube video or all of Ruby. I'm gonna apologize now. The landscapers are at the apartment complex, so if you hear a horrible low droning in the background, it's them. I think they finished my quadrant, so hopefully it won't be too bad. Uh, but yeah, last week when I didn't stream, no one was here, so oops. Okay. So singing Dragon Bay, Dragon Bay, singing Ding Dong the Witch is Dead. I have thought that in relation to Rooster Teeth so many times before. That exact song, and I was like, and when they finally shut down, and should I do like a meme with that? I decided on the peace sign in front of the tombstone instead. But yeah, it's happened a lot. It's finally happened. Rooster Teeth is donezo now. It's crazy to me. I posted my meme on the 15th. The 15th was the last day of Rooster Teeth's website. Like, it's shut down on that day. It's officially over. And I posted my meme of, it's a similar picture, but had different captions and stuff on it. And I tweeted that, and I'm still getting comments of people being like, what's happening? What happened? And I'm like, how do you not know? How do you not know? Something I found hilarious was I was looking at the Rooster Teeth YouTube channel, and for months on end, they were barely posting anything. It was like a video a month, maybe. You know, there was like 2 month gaps where they weren't posting anything. But then as soon as the company is shutting down, suddenly it's video after video after video, podcast after podcast, all these big things to celebrate the end of Rooster Teeth. And I'm like, maybe if you posted things like this frequently, I don't know, before, maybe you wouldn't be shutting down. So yeah, that's, it's just, so I figured now could be a nice time to chat about it. I have 2 beverages this time, because I didn't finish my coffee this morning. It is aggressively room temperature now. But, coffee, wee! And I also have, like a hydration beverage. One to wake up, one to stay hydrated. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe as you drink your water and stay hydrated. It's getting hot, so it's important to stay hydrated. The Ruby Beyond series was trash. It was such a weird last gasp of relevance. Oh yeah, Red vs. Blue Restoration did come out, didn't it? I didn't watch it. I can't bring. I haven't watched Red vs. Blue in so long. So let's chat about how we got introduced to Rooster Teeth. I know a lot of people were introduced to Rooster Teeth through Red vs. Blue. I was super late to the party. I remember it so distinctly. I was at my grandmother's house with my cousins. I don't know why we were there, but I was there with my cousins, and my cousins were telling me about Rooster Teeth, and they showed me 2 of the Rooster Teeth animated adventures. They showed me the one where Gavin says headlight fluid, and we thought that was the funniest thing in the world. And then they showed me the one where the kid threw himself onto his Blue Eyes White Dragon card to not get cement on it. Those were the 2 Rooster Teeth. That was my introduction to Rooster Teeth. And I was like, okay, I will watch all of those because they were very funny. And they were. RTAA used to be my favorite thing ever. We'll start with RTAA. RTAA, Rooster Teeth Animated Adventures, used to be my favorite thing of all time. I loved it. I could not wait every week, no matter how short they were. I have the DVD. I think my sister has it now, but we bought the DVD of the first, season or something? First 100 episodes of RTAA, because I liked it so much. It was my favorite thing, and I watched all of them. After my cousins showed me those 2. Thank you. A lot of people liked the thumbnail. I knew it was gonna be a big hit. So after my cousin showed me those two, I went through and I watched all of them, then I watched them a couple of different times. And then once I was getting to the end of the RTAAs, I was like, well, what else do these people do? Because they did have a lot of content back in the day. So after the RTAAs, I got into the Roosterteeth podcast, and I would listen to all of them all the time. If sometimes I would listen to them multiple times, here is the secret. I used to be a hardcore mega fan of Roosterteeth. Not only did I watch every single thing they put out, I would often watch it all multiple times. I haven't watched with Achievement Hunter, the Minecraft Let's Play. I didn't just watch their episodes once. I've watched, especially the earlier episodes, the really good ones in the beginning, I've watched those too many times to count. Like the first Minecraft Let's Play episode, I've watched it more than 20 times, I'm sure. Because I would just go back through and I would rewatch them over and over again. Because I just liked their content so much. I thought they were fun and funny, and I just couldn't wait for new videos to come out. And it was such a crazy, I lucked out because they did pump out new content so often. Every other day, there was something new from Roosterteeth. Thank you, Adaman. The second RT closed, RVB was all uploaded. Yeah. So, and I'm getting to that. Thank you for putting me back on track. So after a while, eventually I got into their story stuff, because I was only interested in their podcasts. They had their, shorts, their, live action short things, and Ruby. I happened to subscribe to Roosterteeth the same day the Ruby trailer dropped. It was just, and it wasn't, because the trailer dropped. I happened to do it before, maybe an hour before the trailer dropped. So I really lucked out. After the trailer, I would have subscribed anyway. But it wasn't until Ruby was, in between the first and second volume did I finally start watching Red versus Blue. Because I just didn't really care. The problem was, even though I liked all their content, and I liked all these people so much, and I was, rewatching everything over and over again, I just couldn't give myself to care about Halo. I just don't really like Halo. I never played it. I'm not interested in shooty war games. I think it's kind of boring of a topic. But eventually I was like, you know what, Ruby's not airing anymore, let's watch Red vs. Blue. And I got 3-4 episodes in and gave up. I hated it. I thought it was boring, I thought it was slow, I didn't think it was funny, and so I was not intrigued. But later, afterwards, sometime later, I don't remember when exactly, I was like, okay, I'll give it another shot. And I think the new season was going to be coming out soon. And that was season 10 or something like that. Maybe season 11. And I was like, okay, I'll give it another shot. And then I watched it all the way through. And I did like it. But this was back in 2014? Maybe? 2013? Yeah, definitely. I remember distinctly that I was living with my parents still. So it would have been at least 2013. So, after, you need to get past the first season of RVB in order to be interested at all in the rest of it. And if you aren't interested by the end of the first season, you're not going to care about the rest of it. I liked it. It was fine enough. I thought the AI plot was the most interesting. And I thought after that story arc wrapped up, I hated it. I actively hated it. And it must have been around when volume 3-ish was coming out. Probably either 3 or 4. I think it was volume 3, because their latest season was coming out for RVB, and it was the new one. It was the one that the first time Miles wrote for RVB. Thank you, Seacants. Remember, recorded by Azrael? Yeah, Pepperidge Farms, and I remember. It's so true. Thank you, Sky Slasher. Rest in piss, RT. Death Battle lives forever. Yes. So at least, so there are things, like, still going at this point. Let me wrap up what was I saying about Red vs. Blue? Oh yeah, it must have been around volumes 3 or 4, because I remember I really hated Lindsay's performance, and I was like, I think Lindsay is a bad voice actor, and then I really hated that Miles voiced the villain character, because I really hated the fact that Jean got a lot of screen time, and I was like, of course, Miles' character is also getting all the screen time. So I was one of those people back in the day. I don't feel that way anymore. But yeah, it must have been season 11 then. So that was like, so now that the movie has come out, Restoration, it's been so long, and I really, really hated season 11. I didn't like the direction it was going, I didn't like the new characters, I didn't like any of it, really, so I kind of gave up on it at that point, and now I haven't watched it since, when did season 11 come out? 2013-ish, somewhere in there. I haven't watched it since, and so it's been quite a while. So, recorded by Azrael. Let's talk about that one. Azrael? Is that her name? I think it's Azrael. I accidentally called Arslan Azrael in my, in my design short for her. Oops. When I talked about Team Auburn. Oh, Azrael's a pretty name. So I was intrigued. I was intrigued. It came out at such a weird time, though. I remember that. When we got the trailer for Recorded by Azrael, the trailer didn't really tell us much about what it was supposed to be. And I was like, I don't know what this is supposed... In true Roosterteeth fashion, as we would come to see, they are Arizel. Arizel? Tell me how I'm supposed to pronounce it. Like, tell it to me like I'm an idiot. Roosterteeth is just very bad at, like, telling the audience what the show... They're bad at trailers. The trailers never tell people what's gonna be happening in the show. You know? Yeah, Nomad of Nowhere, that's another one. Like, I tried with Nomad. Oh, I so hated it. I remember I watched the first episode and I absolutely hated it. I didn't like the animation, I didn't like the art direction, I didn't like the characters at all, I didn't like the jokes, I didn't think it was... Happy birthday, Layla! Happy birthday! Yeah! Good job on being born! Congratulations! Yeah, I watched the first episode of Nomad of Nowhere, absolutely hated it. I thought it was terrible. Didn't like anything about it. I remember I hated it so much, I didn't even bother watching the second one, but I watched Fat Man Falling and Celtic Phoenix reacting to the second episode. And even they were like, yeah, no. And I, like, even watching the episode through their reaction, I was like, no. I do not want to watch this. Thank you, Crying on the Toilet. Thanks, Crying on the Toilet. Hold on. I'm gonna pull up I'm gonna pull up your comment on my phone, so it's easier for me to read. I'm getting new glasses soon, so hopefully I'll be able to, like, read things better from a slight distance. Crying on the Toilet. I'm drunk as hell at work right now. Maybe don't do that. So I'm gonna do some flips for the customers. Dinner and a show for all you guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Okay. Stay safe, drink responsibly, get water. What was I saying? Yeah, no, I hated it. Couldn't, and I remember there was, because, like I said, I was so into everything Roosterteeth. I watched it all over and over and over again, and I watched all their content. Even if I didn't like the content, I would still watch it, you know? Like, their shorts, the RT shorts. Some of them, not amazing. Some of them, really good. I watched them all anyway. But I remember there was a point where I was starting to not like all their stuff. And I think it was around volume 4 ish of RWBY, if that's the time frame that helps you understand when this started happening. And I remember because it all started kind of all happening all at once. You know, I didn't like their new projects that were coming out, like Red versus Blue. I really hated it. Nomad of Nowhere. I really hated it. Ruby Chibi was coming out. Didn't like that. Camp was coming out, and I liked Camp, but I also felt like they never really did everything they could with Camp. You know, it did have so much potential. You're right. I feel like they never really knew what exactly to do with it. And of all their shows that I was like, this could get picked up by, like, an actual network and, like, run on television, Camp was the one. I fully expected to see it on, like, Adult Swim or something sometime. But it never did. And then I remember, do you guys remember Sex Swing? That weird adult animation they made? It was so not good. Okay, it was fine. It wasn't good, but it was fine. The worst thing was, the first episode was terrible. The first episode of Sex Swing was absolutely terrible. It was goofy and childish and dumb, and they revealed later, it was based off of a concept from Funhouse, and it was an adult animation about, like, a band who are... that's really all you need to know. It was fine. There were some jokes that I actually thought was very funny. The first episode was absolutely terrible, and I know a lot of people didn't watch it because the first episode was so bad, so they didn't bother watching the rest of it. And they went on to talk about it later, and apparently that first episode wasn't originally in their, like, script lineup. They had the whole rest of the season was what they were planning on doing, and they didn't have that first episode. I think it was Matt Hullum was the executive producer, the big boss at Roosterteeth at the time. He was like, you need an episode to start things off to introduce the characters and stuff. And so basically they told them they had to have an episode like this. And it didn't go well, because no one liked it. Because it felt like a goofy, childish, moral of the week kind of episode. And that was a shame. I really fell off of Funhouse after a while. X-Ray and Bav came out, and that was absolutely terrible. And it was just, and then, like, their Let's Plays I wasn't having fun with. I remember they were just always yelling at each other. Like, I watched Achievement Hunter all the time, and then I was not watching Horse anymore, or Pig, or whatever it was that they were doing. You know, I wasn't watching the Awoos anymore, because they were just all kind of boring and droning at best. And then their Let's Plays, sometimes they were fun, but they weren't as fun as what they used to be. Because it was always just them yelling at each other, yelling over top of each other, and it was kind of annoying and grating. And then I wasn't liking the podcasts anymore, because, like, it was always the same 4 people. It was always Bernie, Barbara, Gavin, and Gus, and they just had run out of things to talk about. Because they spent all their time together. They had already told everyone all of the stories they had. And so, yes, I know about Genlock. You all keep saying Genlock. I know. Genlock was there as well. Like, the podcast was like, they just were droning and repetitive, and they weren't saying any new fun stories, because they all had already said everything to each other. And they weren't having new guests on or anything like that. Thank you again, Seacants. Roosterteeth. More like Roosterteeth. Oh, Sex Swing. I got it. But, and then Genlock came out, and that was weird, because it was like, you couldn't watch it? You could only watch the first episode, and then the rest of it was hidden behind a paywall. And that was the first time they really started doing things like that, because they would always, like, release it for free eventually. That was also that was after... They would very quickly after that also take all of RWBY off of YouTube, which I wasn't too bothered by this. It made it more inconvenient to get footage, but, you know, I get it, that you make more money on their website. And then with RTAAs, so the thing that started it all, where it all began, the Roosterteeth Animated Adventures, the first thing that I watched that got me interested in Roosterteeth. I just hated them. I was just hating them. And I don't know, I tweeted about it like a couple of years ago, you know? Like it was this thing where they were all just so focused on gross out humor after a while. And like, every single one was about some fart thing, some poop thing, some spit thing. It was always some weird, gross, stupid, gross out humor thing, and I hated it. It wasn't funny. Jordan Swears wasn't working on them anymore, and the animators they got to work on them were bad at it. And I don't like making fun of animators, because animating is very hard, but they were very bad at it. There must have been, like, one or two animators there, like, because this was also a thing I saw with, in Ruby Fairy Tales. You can see it in my review that I talk about that weird spin-off side story of Ruby Fairy Tales, where they just don't animate their facial expressions to match the performance of the character. And I mentioned it in Ruby Fairy Tales, but it was really, really prevalent in RTAA. Like, they would just animate their faces however they wanted. Like, there's one RTAA I think of specifically. It's the one where, what's his name? The guy who, like, hosted, their improv show. What was that one called? I don't remember his name. But he was going through his divorce with, his wife, and he was talking about how Blaze had to be there to talk about the divorce with his wife at his, like, legal thing, because Blaine, whatever, I don't remember their names anymore, it's been so long, and because his wife had found, like, fan fiction, John Reisinger, thank you, his wife had found, like, fan fiction of him and Blaine, and they had to go into court and be like, no, the fan fiction is not real, on the spot, thank you, thank you. And so, it's this thing where I remember in one of the RTAs where that's the thing that's going on, Blaine is talking about how he doesn't have any clothes that's good for, like, a legal meeting. He doesn't have anything that's like professional looking, and he goes, everything's skinny fit. And he says it with as much gusto as I just said it, you know? They animated his face to be so overdramatic. They animate him to be, like, screaming and flailing his arms. And it was pissing me off how the animation just was not matching the actual energy the performances were giving. And then they just went down this weird rabbit hole of everything they were doing had to do with, like, poop and farts, and it was so weird and dumb. I never watched Always Open. That was Barbara's podcast. I tried. Here's the problem. I don't like Barbara. I think she's very annoying as a person. Like, I've never met her personally, so I can't say anything about her, but whenever she was doing, like, the live things, like her podcast or with the RT podcast, I found her more annoying than anything. You know, some people just don't gel well together. Thank you again, Adam Man. Wait, Phoenix can take Ruby now. Yeah, he could. I think they are selling it, but I think there's, like, probably already negotiations in place. If what Ruby says to be is, like, true, I don't know why Carrie would lie about having, like, talks about moving forward with Volume 10 with someone. I don't know why he would lie about that. You know, that wouldn't make any sense. But I was getting some comments the other day, because I tweeted about how Roosterteeth is dead. And yeah, throughout everything, not only was I just losing interest in all of these shows that I used to love, the quality was changing, you know. Like, the animation was getting nicer, but also stories were getting worse. You know, not everything they were doing, I was getting disappointed with a lot of it. You know, they're weird shows, like, 10 Little Roosters. First one was good. Season 1, I liked it. Season 2, no, hated it. Overdone. And, you know, more and more things from Rooster Teeth I wasn't enjoying. And I think deep at its core, there was a problem that Rooster Teeth never knew who their audience was. You know, are they doing, like, a family-friendly type deal? Are they doing a for mature audiences up? You know? It's weird that the same show that has, like, the same company that has Sex Swing on it, where they're talking about, like, you know, mature adult themes, also has Ruby Chibi on it, where it's cutesy baby goo goo stuff, you know. And I think that lack of identity really hurt them in the long run, among many other things. Thank you, Marie! Anyone else think it was kind of weird they had an alcoholism is bad message with Crow? Meanwhile, in RTAA, the staff would be getting blackout drunk constantly? Yes. Oh my god. Like, I remember that was a thing. They were always drinking. They were always drunk. They talked about how Jeff was always drunk, you know? And then the hypocrisy of turning around and being like, but alcohol is bad with Crow. And then later that same year, they sold, like, a flask and drinking glass set with Crow's emblem on it. And it's like, oh, so is drinking bad? I feel like I sound out of breath. I'm not used to talking this much. I feel like I've been sitting in silence watching things for a while. Oh, I've also been running around a lot. It's been a busy morning for me. Ugh. Thank you, Messiah Complex, as well. I'm a bashful person, so Always Open was always not for me. But I watched a few episodes, and it was more gross than inappropriate. Yeah. Okay, so that's the thing. I think Barbara's annoying. I think she tries too hard. And it does always come out as more gross than whatever, you know? But whatever. Can't say much. It also doesn't help that I don't like Yang. You know, which one is it? I don't like Yang because I don't like Barbara? Or I don't like Barbara because I don't like Yang? Is everyone staying hydrated? Maybe the coffee isn't helping me. Maybe drinking too much coffee isn't good for my heart. But yeah, they would always drink all the time. If you watch their live streams or whatever, or their podcasts, they were always just drinking beers. And the more they drank, the more obnoxious they got, because that's how drinking works, you know? But, so it's weird, it's like, and then they'll turn around and they'll try to sell things as, like, a family-friendly kind of thing. And it was so weird. And it's not that you can't do both. I'm sure you could. I'm sure there are companies that have done both. You know, Marvel. Marvel's a good example. Marvel might have its own problems, but on one hand, they can have things like Deadpool, and on the other hand, they can have things like, oh, I don't know, Miss Marvel, you know? Very different core audiences being aimed at there, right? But yeah, they just always felt all over the place. It felt like they stumbled into their animation world and never knew what to do with it. You know, like they had an animation team, but I don't think the people at the top ever cared about animation. You know, they cared about telling stories. They were very big on making their movie. Ooh, Laser Team. Wow, they've been working on this for so long. What was it, Day 5? I never watched Day 5. So big and dramatic. They cared about their stories, but they cared mostly about their live-action stories. I think they only did Red vs. Blue because it was easy to get a bunch of different characters this way. You know, they had no money, they had no props, they had no sets, they barely had working microphones. Going back to the first episode of RVB, listening to that audio, it is garbage. So they wanted to tell some sort of story, but they didn't have the props to do it with their own bodies, so do it through Halo, where you can have a bunch of characters all at once. You could have some people voicing multiple characters, you know. You don't need to live near each other. You can record from your home in a different state if you need to. And then I think they kind of stumbled into animation. They accidentally entered the realm of animation, and while there were people there who cared, clearly, Monty cared, you know, the people who tried, Eddie cared, you know, there are people who, Eddie was kind of the one who spearheaded Nomad of Nomare, if I remember correctly. So there were always people who cared, but never the ones up top. And you can always tell because the animation department was always struggling. You could see it from the very beginning. The animation department was always bending over backwards to try to get things to work. You know, they never had the money, they never had the time, And that sucks. RT was so weird. RT was a very weird beast to tackle. Because it's so, nothing else was like that either. You know? Ruby X Justice League was a waste of time. You're right, Dottie. They just, and they never seemed to know what to do with their projects. Like Ruby, what do you do with it? Oh, there's comic books coming out. There's manga coming out. There's this weird spin-off. There's that other weird spin-off. A lot of weird spin-offs. But they never, and it's like, just tell me the story. Why so many spin-offs? It's crazy. It's crazy. Also, they were clearly bad with money. You know, I don't think I need to say that they were all also, like, bigoted and racist, and they would abuse their animators. I think that's a given. Talking about the other problems they had, they clearly never knew how to manage their money, right? It's crazy. It's weird. It's a weird company to, like, wrap your mind around. And it's weird that it did die. It's with so much shit they had so much stuff. You know? And it's crazy that it still couldn't make it. Some people blame them for being acquired by Warner Brothers. I don't. You know? Like, I don't see, oh, they sold out. I don't think that's really much of a problem, you know. Theoretically, that would just mean they would get more money to do the same thing, you know. But it didn't work in the end. Yeah, the thing is, if Warner Brothers hadn't have helped them, I think Roosterteeth would have shut down a long time ago. Because they clearly were not making money. They never knew how to make a profit. Which is so weird. Hold on. It's the damn coffee. The coffee's trying to kill me, guys. It heard me. It heard me talking smack. Ruby seems like the kind of thing that would very easily turn a profit. And I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know how it's so ugly. Let's be real. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be 100% honest with ourselves. Ruby does not look good. As a show, as an animation, it used to. It used to be very impressive. And I'm not just talking about, like, Poser versus Maya. Like, even early Maya. It used to look good. But our standards of what looks good with a 3D anime has changed drastically. In the time it took for Ruby to have its 9 volumes, other companies have made mind-blowing animations. Absolutely gorgeous 3D animations. You know, Chainsaw Man has a lot of great 3D animations. Trigun Stampede, which just came out, it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. Land of the Lustrous, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And so, early 3D for anime was very, like, not good, chunky, weird, bad. Like, I remember, like, the Sailor Moon transformations in Sailor Moon Crystal, it was weird, and, like, it didn't blend well with the style of the rest of the show. There was that notoriously 3D Berserk season, which had, like, some of the weirdest, laziest animation of all time. Back in the day, this 3D animation was perceived as a lazy choice, you know? But times have changed. It's been a decade. It's been a whole 10 years. And everyone else has improved their craft to remarkable degrees. To outstanding degrees. You know? Things have gotten better and better and better. And it's so dang beautiful. And Ruby has only stayed still. At Volume 5, they find their look, and it does not change. Because, like, that was something I was impressed that Ruby used to, like, change more and more and more, and it would become more and more impressive. Like, Volume 1 is charming in its own right. It is ugly, but it is charming in its own right, you know? Oh, thank you, Smarty. Murder Drones makes Ruby look like Beast Wars 94. See, okay, so I get what you're saying, and I agree. I think old school 3D animation is so charming. Like the Gregory Horror Show. I think that is so fun. So, like weird polygonal blocky things I just find so charming. Like, have you seen the first episode of the second season of Smiling Friends? I just watched it finally. With Gwimbly, that like yellow guy, who looks like he's supposed to be from like a PlayStation 1 game. That kind of style, I love it. I would rather they go like hardcore and try to mimic an old school style like that than do their like basic bitch super safe lame thing they're doing. Because in the beginning, Volume 1 of RWBY, while not looking amazing, does have a lot of charm. It's very charming, you know. There's cute, interesting, good moments, especially during the fights. You know, the fights are not a part of this conversation. Just talking about the style of the animation in general. It's got charm. Second season, there's an improvement, you know? And with their faces, their hands especially, I feel like they kind of desaturated everything a little too much, but there was an improvement. And then in the third season, there was even more improvement. And then they jumped over to Maya, and the worst thing to come out of RWBY, 100%. And people will debate me on this, and I know they will. Some people will be like, oh, it's Bumblebee. Some people will be like, oh, it's Jean, or whatever. The true worst thing to come out of RWBY's existence is there is now a stigma that Maya is a bad animation engine. People think that Maya is ugly and makes ugly animation because RWBY makes ugly animation. And that is not true. The Maya engine can do a bunch of great things. The Maya engine is the industry standard. That's why they changed to the Maya engine. Because Poser isn't an animation engine, actually. Monty was just a god and knew how to make it do the things he wanted it to do to make it look like an animated thing that would be passable. That's why other people struggled with it so much. So the Maya engine is much more the industry standard. That's why they jumped to the Maya engine with season 4. But for some reason, they make everything in RWBY so flat. There's no textures. It's very flat. There's not... They cover things up with a million, like, special effects. It's like I talk about it a lot in my my fight analysis videos, like the flame effect on top of Hazel's hands, you know? You could do that effect in the engine, but they don't. They do the lazy way, you know? I love everyone geeking out because I mentioned Quimbly, and then John being like, Gregory Horror Show, yeah, like the one person in the back, like, I get it. Yeah, but like, yeah. So RWBY is ugly. It is not using the Maya engine to its fullest potential because they're rushing the show out. They're half-assing it. They're crapping it out as cheaply and as easily as they can because that's how Roosterteeth operates for some reason. Even though RWBY was their biggest moneymaker, hands down, I think they were always indignant about it. You know, tinfoil hat time, right? I think the higher-ups at Roosterteeth were always a little bit jealous that RWBY was their cash cow. That RWBY was the most popular thing they had done. Like, as big as Red versus Blue was, you know, RWBY was the one that actually did it. Right? They spent all this time and effort making their stupid laser team movie, making their day 5 thing, whatever that was. they spent all this time making these big, dramatic, real professional things, but RWBY was the one that actually popped off. And the one that Matt, Bernie, Gus, and Jeff, the founding fathers, as they're called, they had nothing to do with it. Not a single thing. They weren't writers on the project. They voiced bit characters at most, you know, if even. And they had nothing to do with it. And that was the thing that was the most popular part of Roosterteeth, of their company, you know? So I can only imagine maybe they never gave their animation industry, their animation department, the time and money it needed, because they were always a little bit salty that their passion projects never popped off the way RWBY did. You know? Maybe that's why RWBY was the only 3D animation they had. Like, they did Genlock, right? Hold on. I'm getting water. It's seltzer water. I got apple flavored. It's not amazing. Apple flavor is nice in small quantities. This is huge, though. I'm gonna drink it because I want to stay hydrated, but it's a lot of apple. So yeah, like, Genlock came out, and it was also 3D. I was like, finally. Because I was like, the appeal of 3D is once you make it once, you don't need to make it again, ever again, right? So, like, if you make a model, right, like, you make a building, a room, let's say, it does not taste like medicine. It just tastes too much like apple. It's, like, not sweet enough to be like apple juice. It's just apple. It's like, just take a picture a apple. Just a normal ass apple. One of the red ones. And now imagine, instead of biting into it like it's a solid, it's a beverage. It's a liquid like water. That's what it tastes like. It's fine. You know what? It would actually be really good if I mixed other things with it. You know, but the point is supposed to be hydration, so. What was I saying? Yeah, so with 3D, you make, like, a room. You build the 3D room, right? Theoretically, you never have to make it again. So, like let's say RWBY's bedroom, Team RWBY's bedroom, right? With their bunk beds. That set has been built. You have all the assets in there. If you want, you can go in and tweak things and change textures to, like, fix it up and whatever. But theoretically, that is built. You never have to animate or model or draw that ever again. You can just have the girls exist in this room and film. And anything could happen. And the girls' models are also already made. So if the girls are just standing there, you just put your, like, camera in the scene and make the scene. So I never understood why they didn't use more 3D animation outside of RWBY. I don't know why it was just Genlock, because I was like, if you already have all the models made, you should be able to easily just make more things with 3D models. And I know that's not exactly how it works, but, like, also, that's kind of how it works. It was weird that they never utilized this 3D animation style that got them so popular to do other animations, right? Like, it was always, like, these weird... It reminded me of Flash animations, you know? Like, remember the classic days of when people would make Flash My Little Pony animations? Stuff like that? That's what Roosterteeth reminded me of. Like, X-Ray and Vav, Sex Swing, Camp, all of them. They all felt that way, no matter nowhere. It was always these weird kind of Flash-style animations. And the thing is, with that kind of animation style, is it's similar to, like, a 3D model type deal. Like, each thing is already made, and you can just move it on its joints. I think there's a specific way of describing what the animation style is. I call it puppet animation, but I know that's not what it is, like paper puppets. So, I don't know why they did it that way. I don't know why they did everything else that way. And none of it ever looked consistent. None of it ever looked like it came from the same fucking studio. You know? Like, right? Like, if you didn't know any better, and if you glanced at RWBY, Camp, and, I don't know, X-Ray and Vav, would you be able to guess that they were all from the same company? No! Rigging, yeah, but, like, with, like, 2D, right? Cutout animation. Rigging, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Like, Ever After High also does that. Monster High also did it, but they also went, like, overboard with it. They had a lot of extra details, you know? Roosterteeth always seem to, like, try to rush things, try to half-ass it as best they can. Cut so many corners, and make the animation as quickly and as cheaply as possible, right? And, you know, eventually that lack of quality assurance, that lack of care will catch up to them. And it did. And it's dead now. more water. I lied, it was coffee. I can't believe I lied to you like that. So yeah, but it's not gonna go down in history as like a positive thing. Roosterteeth's this weird dark mark on the world now. Something I think is hilarious is when people they're the people who still like blame the critics or like H Bomber guy, you know? Like as if one person pointing out a company is bad is enough to kill it entirely. Like, as if that was the case, Disney would have been gone a long time ago. Do I drink coffee black or with cream and sugar? I don't add sugar, but I do add cream. You know, I'll drink it black if I don't have any cream, but I do prefer cream. I prefer less cream, but also, I am bad, and I can't judge it very well, and I always end up adding too much. Just like when I make eggs, I always oversalt it. So, I hardly ever actually drink coffee the way I like it, because I'm bad at judging. Sometimes I'll be like pouring in my creamer, and I'll be like, almost perfect, I just need to add a tiny little splash more. And then my wrist will be like, oh, you want all of it? And then I'll just dump a ton more in. And it's like, damn it. Oh, well. So what do we think's gonna happen with Ruby from here, right? Yep, H-Bomber Guy and Jello made one video each, and they are considered Satan to the fans. It's so true, Messiah Complex. The fans, it's so weird when they're talking about, like, the evil scum, the horrid critics, bleh, and they'll make, like, a list of, like, the worst of the worst. And I get it when, like, you know, I'm on there, because I dare say the show isn't perfect, right? Or, like, Celtic Phoenix, or whoever. I think it's hilarious whenever they add, like, Twins Inc., or Unicorn of War, because they don't talk about Ruby anymore. They gave up and moved on. And so all those people that sat there and went, well, if you don't like it, don't even watch it. And so now they don't, and yet those same, like, obnoxious fans still insist on dragging their names back into the conversation, even though they don't talk about Ruby anymore. I'm like, what? You got what you wanted. Why are you still being mad at them? And then also when people throw in Jello and H-Bomber Guy, because they made one video each. It's especially stupid with Jello. Jello's video is like 5 minutes long, if even. And they act like he, like, sacrificed half of their fan base to a demon to make that 5-minute long video. It's so mild criticism, too. Oh yeah, Manga Common. Yeah, you're right. They don't bring him up too often, I feel like. The Ruby fans? It's so weird. They're much more jumped to, like, Jello or H-Bomber Guy instead, even though Manga Common's made much more videos on Ruby. I feel like I was gonna say something. Oh, I feel like I was getting to something. I don't remember what it was. I was asking you all what you all think is going to happen with Ruby. That's what it was. Oh, I got a comment on Twitter the other day, because I posted my meme about Roosterteeth being done. And then the next day I saw that they've, like, archived all of Ruby, and you can just now watch it all for free. You can pirate it. It's right there. There's links to it and everything. You can watch all of it for free. And I'm fine with that if it was still a Warner Brothers thing. Because Warner Brothers is bad and shitty, you know? But we don't know who's getting the IP after this. And I'm so all on board for the idea of, like, archiving things. I think that's actually incredibly important. Especially because in this day and age, companies are just, like, deleting shows, like Willow. Did you all ever watch the Willow show? I did. You can't watch it now, because Disney just deleted it off their platform. And I think that's really stupid, so I'm all on board for archiving things and keeping it, you know? Thank you, God's drunkest driver. No. The people still God-defending RT are those... Huh. What are you I'm not gonna read your comment because I don't know what you're saying and I don't like it. What was I saying? Yes. So yeah, pirating. So I'm all on board. If we were, like, attacking Warner Brothers, you know, that'd be one thing. Because I think Warner Brothers is a very bad company, right? They deserve to suffer losses because they keep making things and then not making it. Like, Batwoman, right? They made the whole movie, and then they got rid of it for a tax write-off. Same thing with Coyote versus Acme. I think Warner Brothers is a very bad company, and if you're a very bad company, yeah, you deserve to lose out on profits and stuff. But Warner Brothers, I don't think, owns RWBY anymore. And so I'm all on board with, like, keeping, like, archiving the show if we couldn't find it somewhere. But I think someone's gonna buy it, right? Specifically, Carrie has been talking about Ruby keeping it, you know? So, like, I was like, maybe let's not jump, because I feel like that's going to take profits away from whoever's going to pick up RWBY from here, right? And I want RWBY to get made. I want to see how RWBY ends. I want there to be a 10th volume, and I want to see the story finish, you know? And I got comments being confused, because I celebrate the end of Roosterteeth, but I say I want to see RWBY conclude. Yes. That is true. Those things are not, like, those things do not need to have an overlap. I celebrate Roosterteeth being done, and I still want RWBY to be made. RWBY doesn't need to be made by Roosterteeth. You know, the things that make me like RWBY now is not the fact that it's a Roosterteeth property. And so people sitting here who are like, no, RWBY needs to be, like, if Ruby's not working on it, it's not gonna be the same, it won't be blah 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 blah, it has to be the same writers or whatever. I'm not on board with that. I like the show. I want the show to be made. and for the show to get made, whoever ends up picking it up needs to make a profit off of it. And if you can just easily pirate the whole show somewhere else, they're not going to be able to make a profit off of it. That's something people don't understand. If you pirate something, that means the company making it doesn't get the money, so they can't keep making it. Right? Thank you, Red Carpet 98. I am one of the people who transported RT's coffin while dancing. Source, trust me, bro. Nice. Doing that dance, like that gif, you know? Need more coffee. I'm almost done with it. Coffee's done, though. Finished, finally. Hours. Several hours after it got cold. I think some people are being a little too, like, over the top about it all. Like, it's just over, you know, in my mind. Like, it's over. So yeah, I'm glad Roosterteeth is gone, because Roosterteeth was a bad company. Roosterteeth had bad people working at that company. But I would like to see RWBY get made. I don't care who makes it. I'll be 100% honest. I don't care who makes RWBY, honestly. I just want to see it get made. Anyone could pick it up. I really don't care. I have no, some people, like Dylan Goo, I know people really want Dylan Goo to pick it up. I think that'd be cool. I do not really care. I just want to see the show finally get made and be finished. I don't think it is, like, imperative that Miles, Carey, Eddie, and Kiersey are the ones writing it. In fact, I would much rather be excited to see someone else attempting to write it, you know? See someone else try their hand at giving these characters new life, right? Because everyone was always so like, no, there can be no other writers except for Miles and Carey. Until Miles and Carey write something you don't like, and then suddenly, oh, well, Monty was the one who wrote the good volumes. And I was like, okay. But people were always all like, no, Miles and Carey all the way. Eddie and Kiersey came onto the team, and their writing has been phenomenal. They've written some of the best dialogue scenes between the characters ever in the few volumes they've been on the team. So, clearly, having other people joining the team and writing on these characters is a good thing, because let's be honest, Miles and Carey are bad writers. They're not very good. I'm sorry. I do not think these two writers know what they're doing. Especially not in a story with the scope that Ruby is trying to do. Thank you again, Marie. Who do you think will acquire Ruby? If I had to guess, like, I assume it'll be A24. Because A24 has, like, you know, always picked up the weird ones. And Ruby is weird. Ruby is a weird niche market, and A24 kind of works really well for the weird niche things. Sorry, I gotta drink a water in the middle of my thought. Oh, the coffee has made me dehydrated. So yeah, I assume A24. I'm not sure. If A24 does pick it up, I don't know, because the thing that makes me be like, it's because Carrie said that they're moving forward and they're in talks with people. They've been saying that they're in talks with partners for like 3 months, and now finally and now we're moving on to the next step of it being in talks with people, and now the company's gone. So presumably they're going to, like, work with whichever company picks up the IP for Ruby and stick around. I don't know. Does A24 do shows? Yeah, they've had, The Curse, which it's hard to recommend The Curse. Wildly uncomfortable, but that's the point. I liked The Curse. Wildly uncomfortable. They also just recently did, Beef. Beef was amazing. You can find that one on Netflix, I think. They won some awards. So, you know, it was very good. They do shows. They did Has Been Hotel. You know, they also do animation. So A24 does lots of stuff. So I know a lot of people are saying, like, Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll has, like, an animation department. Like, they do their own producing of animations and stuff. I don't know what they've done other than High Guardian Spice, though. And a lot of people didn't like High Guardian Spice. I thought it was fine from what I saw. But I don't know why people, like, I'm sure Crunchyroll has other things they've done, you know. The thing is also, whoever picks it up, they also need an animation department, is the thing. Whoever picks it up, they need to either hire animators or have an animation department. I don't know if Crunchyroll has one. They had a show. I know they did more than just High Guardian Spice. I don't know if they're still doing that, because wasn't that the whole thing, that High Guardian Spice was a part of the idea that they would start making their own shows, and then it didn't work out because no one liked High Guardian Spice, so... I don't like Crunchyroll either. They're raising their prices, and I'm gonna definitely cancel my subscription. Because, like, yeah. Didn't Crunchyroll help with the Ruby anime? Which one? Ice Queendom? No. Not at all. It was, I don't remember which company. Bones. Studio Bones. They did it. They did the Ruby anime. Crunchyroll helped pay for Volume 9 of Ruby, the last volume. They needed, the funding from Crunchyroll, and that's why Crunchyroll got the episodes, exclusively on their website for a year. I was thinking about this the other day. You know? Do you know how sad this was? Where it was on Crunchyroll, and then a year later, it finally gets to the Roosterteeth website for people to watch on their website with their subscription, or with a membership, like a free membership. And then, like, a month later, they announced it was closing down. Volume 9 only lived on the Roosterteeth website for, like, 2 months. That's crazy. Studio Shaft? I said Bones, didn't I? Yeah, you're right. It is Studio Shaft. You know what's crazy? That was like a dream of mine. I remember sitting there watching Ruby, being like, oh, I wish Studio Shaft would animate Ruby. And that would be like a dream come true. And then it did. It actually came true. Because I was like, what? My wish upon a star 10 years ago came true? What? Yeah, I don't care who does Ruby. I don't think it's like the end of the world. Like if the people who are currently Ruby right now, Miles Carey, Eddie Kiersey, and then also the directors, I think, if they start working on Volume 10 again, I'm fine with it. If anyone else picks it up and starts working on it, I'm also fine with it. I don't really care. At this point, I just kind of want to see the show end. Because it's at the point where I'm really not jazzed about the direction of the show at this point. Which is quite a feat. The show has been middling at best. A lot of highs and lows, you know. Imagine if one day Martin Scorsese feels particularly goofy and just buys the IP. That'd be crazy. And then it'll take him like 12 years to finally make the next season. Because isn't he super slow? But yeah, I don't know, man. Like Volume 10 does not sound... The direction they were aiming for, based off of the Ruby Beyond and the epilogue, nothing about Volume 10 was really intriguing to me, right? Which is such a shame. And you can just tell that they're just floundering. They are still floundering, they're grasping for straws. You can tell, ooh, oh my god, oh, it was all planned from the beginning. Never once mentioned the Crown before. You know, those book-exclusive characters. The Crown. Oh, but it was all planned from the beginning, right? That's so stupid. Let's be honest. Let's be 100% honest with ourselves. They didn't plan anything. Nothing was planned from the beginning. And every single time one of those dumbasses sat there and went, yeah, I've been sitting on this, I've known about this for 10 whole years. No, you didn't. You're just lying. You're lying for clout and attention because you think they're so dumb. They think that if, like, yeah, it was supposed to be this way from the very beginning. That'll make it better because they can't handle critique or criticism. So they try to, like, deflect with excuses. Whatever. The company's dead anyway. my rage is for nothing. But yeah, it's crazy because I was on board with Ruby all the way until so recently, right? Like, Volume 6 was great. I loved Volume 7. The first half of Volume 8 is so good. Like, I do like it. It has its problems, but I did really like the first half of Volume 8. And then that second half. It's really the finale of Volume 8 and all of Volume 9, where my interest has been completely scrubbed away. I'll be sitting there, and then suddenly, randomly, I'll just be hit with this, like, overwhelming confusion of why did they do Volume 9 this way? I don't get it. I don't get why. And they planned this for so long. No, it wasn't planned from the beginning, but they claim that they wrote volumes 8 and 9 back to back. They wrote them at the same time before Volume 7 had finished airing. They claimed they had finished writing Volumes 8 and 9 as the last couple episodes of Volume 7 were coming out. So, presumably, they had been sitting on the Ever After story for so long, didn't set it up beforehand. It just does not make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I don't know why they would do this. I don't understand why they would do this. I don't understand what storyteller would purposefully cut their main cast out of their magical fantasy world to dump them into a completely different magical fantasy world with a bunch of weird rules and characters that we've never established before, that we need to establish now, and not touch on the real plot, which, let's be 100% honest, hasn't even really gotten started. You know, the real plot with Salem and the Maidens and the relics is burbling quietly in the background. It's like a pot of water that you're trying to boil, and you can't even put in your macaroni noodles yet because it's not boiling yet. That's what the plot of RWBY is. After 10 fucking years, they still, it's like, well, I don't know, what are we doing? Why is Salem doing this? People have claims about why Salem is getting the relics, but it's not been confirmed in the show. It's all just presumption. They presume she wants to die, and that's why she's gathering the relics, but they've never explained this. It's so weird. It's so annoying. The maidens are the most important characters, and none of them are Team RWBY. So you just sit there and watch as Pyrrha does all the important things, as Winter and Penny do all the important things, as Raven does all the important things, and Team RWBY are in the background and not being near these characters when this shit's happening. It's crazy. Who would decide this? As a storyteller. I'm gonna be honest, I'm working on my own RWBY AU. It will be starting to release episodes next month, early next month, so I hope you're all excited for that. And 100% the direction of the story is not gonna follow the direction of RWBY, because after volume 4-ish, why would I want to follow the direction of what RWBY has bumbled its way through, right? Especially once we get later and later. The further and further we get into RWBY, the less and less I want to adapt those parts of the story. I don't care about a dumb politics campaign plotline for Volume 7. I don't care about doing, the stupid Wonderland shit for Volume 9. I'll do my own thing by that point. Okay, I got a couple of super chats. First one, Toad Sage. That's a great name. I hope I pronounced it right. It has 2 A's in Sage. RWBY/Junior, and each of the 7 deadly sins they represent. Ooh, Ruby is envy. Okay, I get that. Weiss is pride. Makes sense. Blake, lust. I get it. With Beauty and the Beast, that makes sense. I feel like lust is always the hardest one to do with stories like this, with concepts like this, because, so many of them make sense, and unless you have an overtly lustful character, it's like, oh, what do I do with lust? But I think you got it. Yang, wrath, perfect. Jean, greed. Maybe. Nora, gluttony, yeah. Ren, sloth, agree. The only I almost agree. I think swap Jean and Ruby, because I think Jean is envious of people because he wants to be the hero, and he feels like he wishes he could have what they have. So I think he's envious. I would say Ruby is greedy, but not like a monetarily kind of greedy. I think it's more like she wants everyone to be happy. She's greedy in her morality. She wants everyone to be happy, everyone to do things the right way. She wants to please everyone. She's taking more than what she needs, basically. It's a stretch, but I think it makes sense. I think your way also makes sense. Cool. Thank you, Alex Eden. Thank you so much. You're really cool. Thank you. I'm the same with Penny's second death. I keep going back to that, wondering how the heck they thought that was a good idea. And it baffles me to this day. It's so frustrating. Got pages long of rant written about it. I so agree. It's so weird. Oh my god. I don't understand the thought process of bringing back a character. And, we all kind of assumed Penny might be coming back, but to just bring her back with no pomp and circumstance, no one really cared, right? It just happened. No real big reactions from anybody else. It just kind of happened, and then she just died again. It was what a waste. What a weird waste. Oh my god. As a writer, how do you decide this? Thank you again. Thank you. You're very cool. And thank you, MG. I genuinely want someone to ask Miles and Carrie to give the elevator pitch for RWBY and see what they say. I know. Oh my god. Because trying to, that's one of the things. How do you describe RWBY to someone? I've thought about the process of how do you pitch RWBY to someone, and I know what the usual answer is, because how have I convinced other people to watch RWBY? If I try to, explain the plot, it'll just be like a weird like paragraph of nonsense to them. You know, like, for girls who go to school initially, but not the entire time, are fighting monsters and also bad guys, and also there's political elements in there. And it's too much, you know. There is no log line for RWBY. The way people convince others to watch RWBY is they just show you fight scenes. They show you cool fight scenes. That's what I did. You know, what I did to get my boyfriend to watch RWBY, I showed him Torchwick versus Blake and Son on the docks. That's what I did. I showed him that fight. And I was like, do you want to watch this? And he was like, that looked cool. And I'm like, okay, the story is going to take a while until you get to the cool parts, which is the fights, you know? Oh no, I got my apple water on my phone. Ew. Are you all staying hydrated and liking, commenting, and subscribing? Oh, ew, yuck, bleh, damn. Thank you, Scarlet Phoenix. Do you think this marks the end of the RWBY era of your channel, at least until Volume 10? No. Great question. No. Not only am I making my own AU, which releases, it's gonna be 10 episodes long. I'll have a trailer for it after Magical Girl May wraps. It's 10 episodes long, and it's just Volume 1, so there'll be plenty more. But also, I already have plans for another RWBY video on top of that. I was talking about this in my Discord. My plans for, not June, but July is another RWBY video. It's gonna be voting between, should I rank my top, favorite songs from each volume soundtrack, or my top least favorite songs from each volume soundtrack. So there's that. I also want to keep doing the analysis videos. I also am still sitting on that really big video explaining everyone's fairy tale inspirations. So, no. I'm still going to be talking about RWBY. This was always a thing that made no sense to me, because a lot of like fans, like weird fanatics, were always like, you say you don't like Roosterteeth, but once the show's over, you're not gonna have anything to talk about. And I'm just like, yeah, I will. What do you mean I won't have anything to talk about? There's so much stuff to still say. My whole channel is basically RWBY, Ever After High, and Madoka Magica. And Ever After High ended years ago, and Madoka Magica also ended years ago. It's happened to get a resurgence. There's going to be a new movie soon-ish. But Madoka Magica, at its core, that ended a while ago. like, the idea, and it shows that, it's gonna show who really cares about RWBY in the long run, you know? The people who stop talking about it once it's over, they, even if it was positive things, like the people who are like, OMG, I love Bumblebee, but then once the show's over and they give up and they move on to their next obsession, they didn't, you know, I'm still gonna be sitting here, the person who said all the mean, nasty things about the show. I'm still gonna be sitting here talking about the show. Because even though there's things wrong with it, I like the show a lot. That's why I talk about it so much. And I was thinking about this yesterday, actually. That part of the fandom who sits there and complains about how there's not enough positive RWBY content on YouTube. All I see is those mean haters with their critique videos. Where's the positive content? I'll tell you where it is. It's everywhere. Like, I have tons of positive videos about RWBY, you know? Like, most of my analysis videos are not only fights that I think are amazing, but some of them are my favorite fights from their volumes or, like, their trailers, depending on which ones you're looking at. I did my, like, theory video recently, you know, talking about weird RWBY theories. My volumes 1 through 3 critiques are all positive, and whenever I get comments that are like, why are you so mean? Why aren't you ever positive? I always point them to all of these other things I've done that are positive, and I never hear from them again, you know? They never go to those videos and leave positive comments about my positive video. They always just ghost me. They vanish. Suddenly, they're not leaving comments anymore. And that's the thing. I have plenty of positive videos about RWBY, but you know what gets the more views? The negative ones. And so, like you can look at, I have, like, the top 7 best episodes of RWBY and the top 7 worst episodes. The worst list has way more views. You know, that just kind of happens, right? I make positive content still, but more people watch the negative ones. You want to know why? Because the people who get all nasty about how this isn't positive enough go into the comments and get all mad, and it's like, why don't you make any positive things? And then they get in fights with other people, and are like, your opinions are bad, the RWBY is good, no, you're wrong. And so they do that, and so that video gets more views and more comments, and so it does better. But then you go to the positive ones, and no one leaves comments like that. No one leaves big, sweeping remarks or getting into comment wars on the positive videos. And so, like, if you want positive content on RWBY, you need to engage with it. But they never do. They only engage with the stuff that they don't like. And that's why I say, there's 2 people who watch RWBY. There's people who don't like RWBY, and then there's people who don't like the people who don't like RWBY. That's it. There are no actual people who like RWBY. There's just people who think it has problems, and the people who really hate the people who point out that they think it has problems. And then they make defending their show their whole personality, but they don't actually talk about how much they like the show. You know? They just talk about how much they think other people are wrong and bad. You know? And that's not being positive. That's just a never-ending cycle of negativity, but for different reasons. Thank you, Brain Flash. Thank you. The irony that Critter is going to keep making money from RWBY long after Roosterteeth stopped making money from RWBY. Yeah. If they had me on their team, I would be a marketing master for them. First of all, better merch. That definitely killed them. One of the biggest blows to them and their profits, terrible merch. Some of the worst t-shirts I've ever seen, and they knew about it. Everyone was telling them, right? If you looked at their Twitters and in the comments, so many people were telling them how bad their merch was. Hold on, I'm thirsty. Yeah, their animation, now their merch was just so bad and boring and lazy and lame and no one liked it. And there's so many things you could do. Make more Little merch, right? We had introduced Little so early on. Make a ton of Little merch. Put Little on everything. Little and Zwei. Everywhere. On that note, why didn't Zwei stick around? They clearly made the dog character to be a cute mascot for the show, a cute animal mascot, and I'm gonna tell you this, when I get to Volume 2 of my RWBY AU, every team is getting a dog, and they will have their dog the entire time, because that sounds like fun. And so I don't know, like, they made Zwei to obviously be like a cute animal mascot for the show, and then they immediately dropped him, and I don't know why they did that. Also, make keychains out of the relics, right? I really wanted a keychain that was the Relic of Knowledge, because it's like it's got the little handle on it. That would be the cutest thing ever. They never did that. Also, I don't think they had a lot of say in how the merch worked out with Ice Queendom, but I talk about it in my review of Ice Queendom. Make a little jar with, like, things inside of it to look like the seed and whatever. Cats are better than dogs? I disagree, but you're valid in your opinions. You want Juniper to have a cat? Here, I'll tell you what my reasoning behind it. I see what you're saying. I had a dream where every team got a dog, and the dog was based off of dogs, like famous dogs from, like, different movies, like Balto, you know, because they're all fairy tale characters. And it was like, one was Balto, one was like Dante from Coco, like the pug from Pocahontas, you know, and then I woke up and I was like, that was the best dream I've ever had, and that's an amazing idea. So, yes, someone's gonna get Balto as their dog. I don't know who, but I can't wait to get there. Volume 2 is gonna really pop off, you know. I liked my Volume 1 rewrite. It's gonna be fun, but I think Volume 2 is when I get to, like, really go crazy. There are fairy tale cats, but I like dogs. Their merch isn't great. Thank you, Mystic Orange. You're so right. They're so, and not even, and it's crazy, because I would look at their other merch. Their other merch was great, right? Like their weird 700 podcasts they had, which they only have so many podcasts because podcasts are really easy to produce. You know, like you make a set, you get the props, you get some decent quality microphones, bam, podcast. That's why they had so many podcasts, right? But, see, I would look at their stuff, their merch, really high quality, cool concept art, like, unique things going on, and theirs was always so cool, and then I would look at the Ruby shit, and it was just garbage. I'm like, why? Who gets Old Yeller? Obviously, Pyrrha. Do you get it? Do you get it? Oh, thank you, M3D. Who gets Cujo? Obviously, Cinder. Do you get it? Thank you, MG. Also, how do M and K plan to end the series? If the M sees some of the gods with their relics at this point in the story, they're all gonna fucking die, lol. You're so right. Like, I don't know what the plan is. What's our ultimate goal? You know, some of the gods, not some of the gods, some of the gods, so Ruby could sit there and have another protagonist monologue at them, like how she does with every single other character. Oh, thanks, Juan. All my Ruby merch is not from RT. Yeah. And then they did that. Oh my god, I just remembered. They had, like, a whole moment where they, like cracked down on fan merch from, like, Redbubble or whatever, and was taking down fan merch and stuff, even though their merch was garbage and the fan stuff was great. Ugh, Roosterteeth. Thank you again, Mystic Orange. Remember Twins' video on merchandise? I do. It was a lot of fun. Oh my god. So overpriced, too. That was the worst thing. Like, it's one thing for it to be, like, garbage merch, but the other thing is, like, it was so expensive, and that's not even including shipping. Who gets the dog from Coco? I'm kinda leaning towards... I have an answer that I've been thinking on, but I can't tell you because it'll be a spoiler. So, we'll see. But we'll get to him soon. But I'm definitely gonna have Dante in there. It like, obviously. Dante's adorable. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, with my Ruby AU, my rewrite, I have a couple of quality of life things, like money makes sense now. That was one of the things. It's like, what is Lien? How much does a Lien cost? I have no idea. They use gold, silver, and copper, because that's easy to understand, right? Gold is an expensive thing, silver is a medium-priced thing, copper is a cheap thing. Because it's like, I don't care about Lien, I'm just gonna make it easy. Easy to understand. But, one of my other things I did, because I saw a post about this, it was either this morning or yesterday, and Dante is technically Disney, though. He's not from a fairy tale. Yeah, but I like Dante. I would probably lean into the, what are they called? They're like spirit guide things. They had a name for it in the movie. I just watched it too, and I don't even remember what it was called. But I would probably lean into that kind of for their fairy tale kind of thing. Like the Day of the Dead spirit guide kind of concepts. Which will be fun, because I'll definitely give the dogs semblances, right? Thank you, Mr. Orange. The water bottle merch still cracks you? Yeah. It was so weird. Yeah, Lassie, maybe. Like, you know, I'll have to, like, mull it over for a while. But we'll see. There's so many dogs to go with, which is great, because then I can have as many teams as I want, and I can always just introduce new dogs. What was I saying? Oh yeah, another quality of life thing with my AU is that Silver Eyes actually looks different. Zwei is based off of Ein from Cowboy Bebop, overhyping, which, you know, it's not technically a fairy tale, but, you know, it is cute. It is a cute reference. The way I'm gonna do Silver Eyes is, because I saw this post on Twitter, and it was like, Silver Eyes has more shine than Gray Eyes, and I don't like that. I think that's boring and weird, and a weird thing to try to, like, focus on. It was to the point where the first time I saw the Hound, I didn't realize he had silver eyes. You know, it was only afterwards when I was rewatching that I was like, oh, he has silver eyes. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's so subtle. So what I'm gonna do is, characters with silver eyes has, white pupils, is what I'm gonna do. Their pupils are also going to be white in the middle. So then, there's no way you could ever be confused. What is Raven's fairy tale? She's based off of one of Odin's ravens, from, Greek mythology? Odin had two ravens, Hugin and Munin is how I believe they're pronounced. Crow is the other one. When Yang is telling Blake about looking for her mother, the poem, like a verse that describes Hugin and Munin is on the blackboard behind them. To, like, hint towards that idea. Crow is also the scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz, so, Norse. What'd I say? Norse? I said Greek. Huh. I get them mixed up all the time. I'm just so bad at, like, countries and locations, and I'm always embarrassed. I know! I'm for shame. I'm sorry. I'm just bad at words. Thank you, Eric, for 10. Thanks, Eric. You're cool. Thank you. Norse, I know, I'm sorry. Oh, man. And I said, I'm just always embarrassing myself. Alright. So, we've been chatting for, what, an hour and a half? You think we should wrap up here? You know? I think we should wrap up here. I got some other stuff to do. Got some more Magical Girl May stuff to do. I'm excited. 2 more videos for Magical Girl May will be coming out. I'm excited. So, how about silver eyeballs? Yeah. Just the pupils I'm gonna do. Just so that it's easy to notice, you know? Then you won't ever be confused. You'll, at a glance, it won't be this thing of like, hey, why does Mercury have gray eyes? Is Mercury a silver-eyed warrior? You'll be able to just look and see if they have white pupils and tell that they are a silver-eyed warrior. It is fun talking, but I got lots of stuff to do. I got things to get going, and I have scripts to finish up. I have to record some audio stuff, including the teaser trailer announcing my Ruby AU, which will be soon. I'm so excited for it. I'm so dang excited. This was fun. Maybe we'll just chat again next time. We'll see. Well, if you have suggestions on things to chat about, leave them in the comments, I guess. I feel like it'll always end up devolving to talking about Ruby one way or another, but yeah, thanks for hanging out. It was nice to just chat, you know? No video to watch, you know? Just you and me chatting about stuff. So yeah, Roosterteeth is over. It's quite the adventure, you know, seeing the rise and fall of the company. Okay, so, alright, I have my money. Because I'm making this now, I'm willing to bet within the next few days, they'll announce what's happening with Ruby in the future. Which means I'll have to talk about it, and it'll be like, oh, I was just talking about it, and now they finally confirmed. So, I hope that happens. If so, then I guess that's what we'll be talking about next time. I'm not gonna fingers crossed. No, nothing confirmed or anything, but fingers crossed they announce what happens with Ruby soon. So, thanks for showing up. Bye-bye. Drink your water. Like, comment, and subscribe. Stay hydrated. Bye-bye.